Hello everybody, I'm Dale Skaggs, Director of Horticulture here at the Dixon Gallery and Gardens, and we are very excited about the Bonsai show that we have that runs through August 9th. Bonsai is an ancient art form. It goes back about 2,000 years. It actually originated in China with a style of miniature landscapes called pinjing, and that style was adapted and taken to Japan by monks that wanted to adorn their temples with these miniature trees that they felt had special powers. And so bonsai that we know today is based on the Japanese style of bonsai, and that's what most of us are familiar with today. But it is an ancient art form. It's perfect for the Dixon because it's the fusion of art and horticulture, which is sort of what the Dixon is all about. So this is a perfect fit for us, and we're very excited, and hope you'll come out and see this great exhibit. Many people think that bonsai is a certain type of tree, and bonsai is not a certain type of tree. It is bonsai. I want to clarify that, not bonsai. It's bonsai, and the translation for bonsai is tree planted in a dish, and so that's what the translation is. But any tree can be made, or any woody plant can be made into bonsai, and this is an example of a Korean hornbeam. And this is about 65 years old. And you know, one thing that you do want to consider when you're creating a bonsai is the size of the leaf. You want to make sure that it has a smaller leaf because it's more in scale with the plant. That's not always the case, but a lot of really nice bonsais have smaller leaves. And this is a traditional style, and the way it's kept small is by horticultural techniques. There's a lot of pinching, there's a lot of wiring. They require a lot of care, and it's kind of like having a pet almost. But the dish is very shallow. What you have is a balance of shoots and roots. And so if you keep the roots pruned, which they actually take them out periodically, saw off all the roots and replant them, and then you keep the tips pinched back. So that balance between roots and shoots is what keeps it alive and makes it sort of magical. The last one we looked at, the hornbeam, was actually a large tree, you know, a 20, 30 foot tree if left unpruned. This is a Satsuki Azalea, which Satsuki means 5th month in Japanese. So they're later flowering azaleas, and they tend to be smaller in stature, so they're very well suited for bonsai. And this is a really nice one because it has this lace here. And what's happened is the roots have actually, they've pulled it up over time, and so you can see through, and it makes this wonderful lace. And they bloom in small scale. The flowers are normal size, but we love the Satsuki Azaleas here. This one's about 40 years old, so it's been kept pruned for many years. We looked at an azalea, which is a typical landscape plant, and this is a boxwood, and we love our boxwood here at the Dixon. This is the smallest growing boxwood called Kingsville Dwarf, and it originated from a nursery in Kingsville, Maryland. But if you look, it's almost like a big live oak tree, very traditional style, and this is popular because of its small leaves and its evergreen. And they're pretty much a low care bonsai, and it'd be a good one for someone to get started with. This tree here is really special because it is it's in the bunjin style. And bunjin is all about the trunk. So you can see this is a Japanese black pine, and it's more about the character, the lines, and the flowing trunk than it is about the foliage at all. But this is the bunjin style, and this is about 50 years old, and it's a very nice specimen, and shows a different style of bonsai in the collection. This is in the shohin style, and you may notice the scale of these. These are less than a foot tall. To be a shohin, it has a smaller container, and the tree is less than a foot tall. There's also, which we don't have in this exhibition, a mame, which is actually smaller than that. They're 8 inches or less, but these are less than a foot tall. But if you look at them, they are amazing in the detail, the character of the trunk, and just what they look like. And just because they're small just means that they've been pruned more and the roots have been pruned more. They can be equally as old. This one on the top, this Trident Maple, which if left unkept would be a 40-foot tree, but the fact that it's been cared for in this shohin style, it's about 45 years old, and you can see that wonderful trunk line, and it's a really nice little miniature tree. Another little Kingsville boxwood over here. This is about 25 years old, but they grow really, really slow. And this is kind of interesting. This is a small leaf. I said that you know, a lot of the bonsais the small leaves are what you're after. This is a small leaf crepe myrtle. And many of you know crepe myrtles in Memphis can be 25, 30 foot tall. And this is a little bitty guy, less than a foot tall. And this is about 55 years old. So it's got a lot of character. It's a very nice tree. This is a 5-needle pine, or a white pine, Japanese white pine. And you can see the trunk on it. And this is not quite as old. This is about 15 years old, but it's a nice little tree. So bonsai are diverse. There's different styles. There's different types of this art form, and we try to represent most of them here in this exhibition. So come check it out. This tree here is part of the Dixon Living Collection. This was a gift of Bonnie Martin. She gave us this tree, and we've had it for about 8 years now. And it's a 5-needle pine as well, and it just has great lines to it. It is a stellar tree. This tree is about 55 years old, and we just had Mauro Sternberger. He's an Italian bonsai artist, and he was in town, and we had him work on this tree recently. So it still has the copper wire on it. A lot of times they use wire to get these graceful sweeps to the branches, and that's how they get some of the energy and the movement in these trunks as well as lines. So we were very, very pleased to have such a world-class bonsai artist work on our tree, and it really made a difference. We talked about some of the bonsais that are actually shrubs, like the azalea and the boxwood, and obviously those are probably a little bit easier to maintain because they don't want to grow as much. But this is a bald cypress tree, and many of you are probably familiar with the bald cypress at Reelfoot. They're a native tree, and you know they get very, very tall, 90 feet tall or whatever. And this one's kept small by, again, pruning the roots and keeping the top pruned. But one of the important things in a bonsai is to make it convincing, because you're trying to make it look like a smaller tree. So you have to have a really strong taper. And if you look at this example, the top tapers down very, very nicely. And so it's very believable as a tree that you're trying to emulate a natural tree in nature. This one's about 85 years old. Another style of bonsai that's one of my favorites are these little groves. So they look like little miniature forests. And a lot of groves are individual trees of different size planted in a container. This is very interesting because it's a raft. And what I mean by that is this was one plant that was grown horizontal. So that's all the same tree. And then these trunks come up from the center. They're actually the branches of this tree that's laid down. And this tree, it's a Trident Maple, and it belongs to Russell Martin. And he found this growing in a nursery in Winchester, Tennessee. There's a nursery named Don Shadow. And this was in a container, and it had fallen over and had been neglected. And he saw potential in it, and so he's had it for 30 or 40 years now. And so the tree's about 55 years old, and really, really nice. The nice thing about the deciduous trees is they get great fall color, especially the maples. We are so thrilled to be offering this impressive collection of trees here at the Dixon, and it runs through August 9th. And we would encourage you to come out and see it. Bring the family. Children and adults are fascinated by this ancient art form with these trees in miniature. And so we're offering free admission. Come on out to the Dixon. We are trying to be safe, very safe. We have requiring masks and social distancing, and we're set up for that. And we're ready for folks to come see this exhibit. So come on out to the Dixon and enjoy our free admission and this wonderful show.